I think one of the difficulties, especially when you're younger, is you've got your friends, you got your family, and especially if they're all poor, then they have terrible views around money. They might not approve of all the stuff you're learning on the internet and trying to try these new things out. And the real is like, you're gonna fail a lot. And they're gonna say, see, told you so. And the tough part is they're gonna be right most of the time. Except it's one of those things where it's 99% right, but 100% wrong. Is that anybody who bets against you for this thing being the thing is usually gonna be right. It's just like a parent who says, you're gonna break up with this person, you're gonna break up with this person, you're gonna break up with this person. But they're right with every single person you ever date, except for the person you marry. And then they're 100% wrong. And if you have the perspective of listening to that, it can be incredibly disheartening. And so number one is, I want you to go on a different information diet. So you need to be able to ignore all the stuff that they're giving you, because like the best way to stay poor is to listen to poor people about how to get rich. You're already taking great steps by like watching content, doing this stuff. Just keep doing more of that. And I'm sure your girl, who you have your baby with, that's your world. Like anybody who's not trying to build Avante 2.0 with you doesn't deserve your time. Because like right now you have a wallet of money and you got a wallet of minutes. And like every single person you're choosing to pay minutes to or pay dollars to has to earn their keep. And earning their keep in this season of your life is them helping you get to where you want to go. Cut out the people who are taking your time. Easy way to see this is like, if the people in your life don't have bigger dreams for you than you do, ignore all of their advice. Let's just ignore them entirely. And I know that that's simple to say and hard to do, but you're in a hard situation. And I think the question is whether you can be harder than your circumstances right now. And you have to be to get out of this.
I think that you would be better served actually doing you. And that comes with all the weirdness that you are. Because I've met some of you. Y'all are weird as fuck. And if you stop pretending to be this identity that you wrap into the starter kit of whatever Instagram influencer you're trying to copy, and you just were you, what happens is your unique individual personalities are like weirdness, because everybody had different parents. Everybody was born in different cities. Everyone has unique things. Like your dad might have been a mechanic. You might know a bunch of shit about cars. And if you bring that up, all of a sudden people look at what they expect from the real estate starter kit. And then all of a sudden you've got these points over here and you become interesting and people lean in. They pay attention because you don't match the mold. And so people are like, man, your stuff's always so different and so original, whatever. And it's really easy to be original if you're just not looking at everyone else's shit. The act of consuming everyone else's stuff, what ends up happening is that those thoughts become top of mind for you and you become another Mickey Mouse, another Instagram influencer starter kit. They've got the what, the car, 100% hustle, 0% grind. If other people copy you, it's a good sign because it means that what you're doing is working and most people aren't original. If you copy them, what it means is that you accept the position of second place. You accept that they are inherently first. You literally say, you are better than me at this. And if you claim to be the best at whatever it is that you're trying to do, or at least that you're trying to be the best, you copying their identity, their look, their feel, their brand means that you are accepting to lose. You will never win because you aren't going to beat them at being. Doesn't matter what business you have. If you want to make lots of money, sell more expensive stuff. There's no strategic benefit to being the second cheapest person in the marketplace, but there is for being the most expensive. There's only one strategic benefit to being the lowest cost person in the marketplace, which means that you went in with that strategy and you built an entire business around operational efficiency, automation, and you built the whole strategy of the business on being able to provide the same thing for less. If you did not do that and are simply trying to do the same business as other people and compete on price, you will lose. You will have no profit left over and you will get priced to the point of break even and you will just run a nonprofit. Thank you. If I were giving you a Ferrari, brand new, and I said, it's 10 grand, and I'm walking up to people on the street, and they believed that I was actually gonna give them the Ferrari, how hard do you think it would be for them to come up with the 10 grand? What would they do? They would call their friends, they'd call their family, they would take out of their credit cards, they'd take a loan. Why? Because they know it's worth more than 10 grand. Whenever you are selling something expensive, the reason someone is not buying it is simply because they do not understand the value. Because if they understand the value and they believe that you're giving them a Ferrari, they will find a way to get the money. I want to banish this whole concept of like, they can't afford it. Everyone can afford it if they believe the value is there. The path of the artist is the person who loves doing the thing. Now, your art form might be plumbing, your art form might be carpentry, coding software, making media, making wallets. You have something that you enjoy doing and you do it well. The second path on the extreme is that you love business. Business is your art form and it doesn't really matter what business you're in. I love working with different portfolio companies, whether it's solar sales, mortgage sales, physical products, software, service businesses, brick and mortar chains. Like we have all of those in our portfolio and I love growing them all. And that's because the art for me is the actual business itself. The third path is a hybrid path, and each of these paths can go all the way to the max limit here. So an example is Tobias Lutka, who is the founder of Shopify. And so he loves building Shopify pages, and he loves the coding and he loves the product. And so what he did was he found somebody else and have them build the business around him while he stayed focused on the main thing that he loved the most. The key here is that there is no right path. It's more about the path that works best for you during the season you're in, because guess what? You can also change paths later.
Steve Jobs said, people think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on, but that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to 100 other good ideas that are out there. You have to pick carefully. I'm actually as proud of the things we haven't done as the things I have done, because most people don't achieve the success they want because they either don't do the thing that matters most enough times, they don't do it for long enough, or they're doing the wrong thing altogether. You have to let other people's dream of you die so that your dream can live, because there's only so much of you to go around. Everybody else is trying to get you to be the version of you that best serves them, including your family. I don't think it's a malicious intention, but they have goals for you that are probably not your goals for you. And somebody's goals have to die. And where most of them die is right in the middle, which is you try and do theirs and you try and do yours and you actually accomplish neither. So you might as well do 100% yours, do none of theirs, and then actually achieve the long-term goal, which they probably have, is that you live a happy and successful life. You only get there by saying no in the short term to get the long yes.
The most valuable skill that you can have in order is product first, then marketing, then sales. And so right now, if you know how to sell, it's because you don't know how to market, you know how to build product. If you know how to market, then you can sell lots of stuff, but you're only gonna sell it once because the product's usually not that good. If you know how to sell product, you will get more promotion from your customers than anything else, and that is ultimately what scales the enterprise. Marketing can scale anything to a point, and then what happens is the marginal cost of getting the next customer continues to get up and up. And if you don't get word of mouth referrals from customers who use your product, then eventually it becomes untenable and your company will plateau. And so the key to building a very, very big thing that lasts for a very long time is having an exceptional product. And you know what? If you just sell shit, you can make money. If you market shit well, you can make even more money. And what happens for most entrepreneurs is they actually go in that direction. They just learn how to sell shit because that's the easiest skill to learn. You can learn it in a couple weeks. Learn how to market takes a little longer. You learn how to write copy. It's really just translating the persuasion of sales into different types of media and selling to many people at once. And so the highest leverage thing you can do is make an exceptional product that other people want to promote for you.
My favorite quotes from B.F. Skinner, who was a behavior psychologist from way back in the day, was, "You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink." He said, well, if you bleed it out enough and you starve it and you leave it in the sun and you put the water right in front of its mouth, he's like, I can veritably guarantee that I can make it drink. And so if you were to think about yourself as that horse, then it's like, okay, well, what is the equivalent of the bloodletting, the dehydration, the starving that you can put yourself into to get the behavior you want? So starving has a negative connotation, but we can also starve out the negative things in your life. Like you can starve the alcohol, you can starve the friends. And I think the easiest way to do that is to get out of the environment you're in. I think this was in Atomic Habits. In Vietnam, I think it was like 10% of troops or something were taking heroin when they were over there in the 70s. And they thought there was going to be this massive problem when they came back to the States. But when they came back to the States, almost no one continued the heroin habit. And so going from Vietnam, where you're doing heroin, to the US, where you're not taking heroin, had a 90% success rate, whereas the inverse is true of recovery centers in the United States today. People go there and 90% of them relapse when they go back home. And so the difference is that people were doing heroin in a different environment, and then they changed their environment, and then they never went back to the environment that they did heroin in.
I'll tell you the quick story of Warren Buffett and Ben Graham. Ben Graham was the GOAT back in the day for investing. Warren Buffett was just a kid out of Columbia and wanted to go learn investing. And he offered to work for Graham for free. Graham said, you're getting the better end of the deal. The actual answer was, you're overpriced. So free was too expensive for Graham because Graham knew that he was gonna have to invest more in getting Warren good enough to actually work for him. And so right now, these customers, and they are very much customers because they are exchanging something for your service. They're exchanging their time and their effort and some stuff later that you're gonna have them do. The reason that someone tells you they don't wanna work with you, even for free, is because there are hidden costs associated with whatever thing you sell. If you figure out what all those hidden costs are, you can eliminate those hidden costs and then be able to charge significantly more for your solution later compared to the other people who charge for it and still include those hidden costs. There are three paths that every entrepreneur eventually has to take. You have the path of the pure artist, the path of the pure entrepreneur, and then a hybrid path. So the
Great reason for working harder is that the harder you work, the more you realize what you used to think was hard work isn't even close to what you're capable of. Because if you want to know what the most dangerous money-making combo in the world, it's work ethic
and time. Because once you realize just how much more work it takes to get from good to great, you realize you can only be great at a few things and you're forced to ignore the rest. It just takes work, shitloads and shitloads of work. And every time I dress it up or cut a corner, I get brutally reminded by life that the work just needs doing. So yes, this is your friendly reminder that it's okay to work on weekends. I think one of my favorite parables about work is that there was an art class. They split the class into two groups. And one group, they said, make the absolute best pot and turn in one pot. And the other group, they said, make as many pots as you possibly can. At the end of the semester, the team that had to make as many pots as humanly possible not only made more pots, but also ended up making better pots than the one that spent all of their time trying to make one. The work just needs doing, and no one's gonna do it for you.
Strategy is easy, execution is hard. It's the execution risk that is the much bigger risk for most businesses. If you deliver dry cleaning that is always clean, always, and always on time, you'll have an exceptional business. The strategy isn't complicated. It's the execution is where everyone fails. But this is the thing, is that the strategy is the new and exciting thing. People allocate tons of attention, tons of time to new strategies, new ideas, rather than making the obvious truth of, if I deliver everyone their clothes on time and they are always perfectly clean, this business will work. You don't need to have any fancy play to be successful. You just have to be willing to get the consistent yardage. People want clean clothes. People want them fast. People want good service. And if you execute on that for 10 years and you fill every hole in the bucket, your business grows by default because your competitors won't do that. This is where I say, like, business is not hard in that it is not complicated. It is hard because people cannot stay focused on the same thing for a long period of time. It's also because once people make a certain amount of money, if they only did it for the income, they're trying to find the next thing that's gonna make them more income rather than the mission of the business.
We're so trained to say no to any kind of upsells that if you get someone to say no, but in so doing, get them to say yes, you actually click into their subconscious automated response. Most times when they say no to salesmen, they save money. You flip the script and you align it so that them saying no actually gets them to say yes for you and to the purchase. On the upsell that they had, they gave them a little piece of bait, and it was what I call sawdust. And so sawdust is anything in a business that is created in excess that you normally throw out. So a lot of famous things were actually made out of sawdust. IKEA pieces of furniture, they just glued together all the sawdust from lumber mills. Whey protein used to get scraped off the bottom of dairy centers because it was waste product, and now it's one of the most expensive products sold from dairy. What he did was he took the scraps from all the coats that they would make in the back. They made tiny little things that were made of fur. So think like little purses, little earmuffs. And so they said anybody who would turn in their coat would get this as a bonus. They gave away something that cost them nothing, that people still perceive value, as bait to get people to come in and actually take the upsell. What's even more, when people did come to turn the thing in, they would actually say, well, you want to store that too, right? And they would say yes. And then they would charge them for that. Even though they got the product for free, the storage didn't come free.
One of my